Alright, YouTube, after their epic loss during the election, for months and months, the legacy media was completely wrong about everything. Most of what you saw from the main lamestream legacy media outlets, CNN, Fox, CNBC, NBC, MSNBC, all these groups, most of what you saw from them throughout the election was completely false. At best, some of the stories were half-truths. You saw this also from pages like Being Liberal, Salon, Business Insider, certainly like the Jezebels, the Gawker media, sort of era crap that people have had to suffer through. You also saw it to some extent from groups like Breitbart and Drudge. So their solution is probably the exact wrong thing to do. The solution that's been concocted by the so-called mainstream media, which is supposedly respectable, so accurate despite being completely wrong about everything under the sun. Their response is to now put pressure on groups like Facebook to remove ad revenue or demote in some way alternative news sites, including, the bloggers and journalists like, essentially at this point, myself, let's face it, people like Goodman, people like Molyneux, people like Sargon, people who cover maybe political or current events topics, but are outside of the mainstream journalistic credibility, so-called, that's enjoyed by all the talking heads that get six-figure salaries on the lamestream TV networks. And this is probably the worst possible response that they could have, because what's going to happen is it's a little bit like the Streisand effect. There is demand for alternative media. The demand for alternative media is also growing. By precluding its spread through the ways that it's currently spreading on a place like Facebook, it simply means that other platforms are going to be able to spread it more efficiently. What people are going to end up looking for are social media sites in which they can get news that isn't being completely manipulated. Now, Twitter's learning this the hard way. The reason why Twitter right now is having difficulty figuring itself out and even, let's face it, stay afloat at this point, it has nothing to do with the fact that its basic concept isn't good. The basic concept of Twitter as really short 140 character or less blurbs, maybe with links or a picture, where people can document things, where people can spread information, where they can share links. The essential concept's almost perfect for the low attention span generation, which is, a lot of millennials, those on perhaps a slightly younger side than me, and their attention span is shorter. They didn't see maybe the Nova documentaries back in the 90s when they were kids or something, and so they have like a 10-second attention span. No disrespect to you, that's just the natural course of what the internet's done to people's mentality. I literally mean that. I mean no disrespect by that, but the attention span is shorter. Most people no longer sit down and read whole articles. They read an excerpt or just the title, and they go right to the comments to interact with other people, to debate topics which, unfortunately, in some cases, they don't even really know what they're debating because they haven't read the whole thing. That's sort of the social media generation encapsulated in a microcosmic sense. What Facebook is doing right now is going to screw itself, because what you're going to see is that, number one, oddly enough, all those people who, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if you had suggested that Facebook start censoring alternative news sites, they would have cried tyranny. All of a sudden, they're nodding their heads in approval and saying, yes, that's a good idea. And the same people that would have maybe been receptive to such an idea are now screaming about tyranny. I mean, it is hypocrisy. Left or right, it doesn't really matter. But it's going to have the unintended effect of making alternative media more powerful. I don't think they realize it yet, because it's going to be more in demand once it's suppressed. It'll give people like me an even better platform for spreading it. I barely even use Facebook for the most part. I don't even like Facebook. I wouldn't have a Facebook account at all if it weren't for the fact that I have a very small number of people that I talk on Facebook from time to time or regularly. Honestly, I much prefer YouTube. YouTube is the least censored, the least manipulated of all the social media sites. YouTube censorship has boiled down to, we're going to decline ad revenue for people who are talking about edgy subjects. Doesn't affect me at all. I don't take ad revenue. I encourage all other, what the alternative media needs to understand. These are your bloggers, these are your maybe larger size YouTube channels talking about current events, politics, spiritual topics, whatever it happens to be. These are your smaller journalistic sites, maybe something like Drudge or something. It's not CNN. It's they don't have the $100 million newsroom or something. What we need to do collectively, and I say this, I don't mean pull together in like some fucking communist fashion. I mean collectively as in we need to think about this decision, is to spurn the ad revenue of these sites, just cut off the head of the dragon and start taking voluntary donations. I'm already showing people it can work. I don't even have 100,000 subscribers here, and yet I'm managing to get by based on what I'm doing. I don't take any ad revenue. I understand some sites do. That's okay, but you're subjecting your message potentially, you're subjecting your fiscal well-being to the whims of social media sites that ultimately at the end of the day you're not giving them as much money or as much traffic as CNN or Fox or some group like that. You need to keep that in mind. That's number one. Number two, these sites and groups, some of them lean heavily left, some of them lean heavily right. They're both going to get impacted by this type of censorship. Need to understand that as a society, we need the free flow of information. It should be as uncensored and raw as possible. It should be as unscripted as possible. It should be as digitally and technologically advanced as possible. No more TV generation sort of crap. It's like most people these days use their TV to watch internet content, honestly. Or content through, friggin' that one service that offers all the videos and TV shows. It's a Netflix or something like that. They're not watching like regular cable material, because regular cable material for the most part is really boring. It's reruns, it's the same basic plot driven into the ground 1,000 times and then rehashed in a slightly new form. It's dime a dozen Hollywood flicks that nobody really cares about anymore. That's what you get on TV. On the internet, you can get millions and millions of totally off-the-rails independent films. Somebody has they spent like $500 plus the cost of a camera, went out into the woods with some friends and made an hour-long video, and sometimes it's going to be more entertaining than some blockbuster so-called that pulls in $500 million. Honestly, that's the way it works. Some of the music that people make, put on like YouTube or something, is superior to stuff that gets multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns. And certainly, as far as political analysis goes, it's no longer even close. If Facebook or some similar site really wanted to be fair in applying the no fake news ethos that they're dreaming up in their pipe dreams right now, they would ban CNN from Facebook. They would ban Fox News, they would ban NBC, they would ban MSNBC, Salon wouldn't be there, Jezebel wouldn't be there, Breitbart wouldn't be there, The Blaze wouldn't be there. In fact, there'd be relatively little marketed media on all of Facebook. They'd all be completely demoted, they wouldn't be getting any ad revenue, they'd all be gone. They would abandon ship instantly. Instead, what's going to take place is that the larger legacy media groups, which have a track record of telling the truth no better and sometimes far inferior to alternative media sites, will pay Facebook money in order to allow their material to be spread around on their platform while attacking their upstart enemies, the social media age enemies that they're garnering, to prevent them from competing fairly. It won't work. It will only drag out their suffering and their slow death even longer. It will certainly hyperpolarize all political debate and all religious debate on Facebook. If you think there's a lot of trolling now on Facebook, just wait until this is actually implemented, if it is. I think it's a terrible idea. I think that Zuckerberg is insane if he actually implements such a plan. The idea that some social media baron site should pick and choose what does and does not constitute accurate news is completely foolish, because most of the legacy media news that you see is nothing more than opinion. These talking heads and pundits that get these 6- and 7-figure salaries primarily just exist to spin things, blow them out of proportion, and they are no different from a site like Before It's News or InfoWars. In fact, they're inferior to them. At the very least, it's entertaining to watch Alex Jones ramble about mandatory ketchup on hamburgers or something like that. It's not even entertaining to watch people on CNN or Fox ramble about these things. And that's what they do. That's how they make money. It's clickbait. So if you're going to have a policy where fake news is suppressed and real news is allowed to be spread around normally, there won't be much news on Facebook now, will there? There'll be plenty of YouTube videos shared. There'll be some blog posts that get shared there. There'll be a lot of really small alternative sites that will do well. But CNN wouldn't even be allowed to be on the site. They'd just ban their whole page, because it's nothing more than propaganda. That's what it is. What you see is that they're terrified. It's just proof positive that what I said months ago is true. What I said is that the legacy media is dying, the legacy media is scared, and the legacy media has run out of ways to innovate. They're not cracking the social media generation, and they're terrified. They're losing support. If that wasn't the case, if they were doing fine and didn't worry about some random YouTuber or some random blog or some random upstart alternative news site supplanting them in the internet generation and taking command and destroying the legacy media, they wouldn't be seeking to suppress their competitors. They wouldn't have a reason to, because it's such a dangerous move. The danger is that they will invoke the wrath of an entire generation and be seen as perhaps buddies of big government, buddies of censorship, buddies of people against free expression and free speech. It's a dangerous move anyway. The only reason they would take that leap, to take that risk, try to partner directly with a site like Facebook to actively suppress their competitors, is if they were absolutely fucking terrified of those competitors. They're proving what all of us are saying. They're proving that the legacy media doesn't have any ideas of its own. So now it simply wants to push its material in a vacuum, where other people who are generally more accurate, work for far less, are much more keyed into what the hell's going on, and sometimes far, far more than some person with supposedly some high-level degree in journalism, some pundit, some hair-plug, cap-teeth talking head on CNN or MSNBC or some site like that. They know nothing. They're not paid to know anything. They're paid to deliver the news, so-called, from a teleprompter. They're all scripted. They don't go off script, generally speaking. All they do is they have other talking heads, other idiots on there to analyze events. They either completely blow them out of proportion, or they try to present both sides of the argument. At least one is wrong. Usually they're both wrong. And they all get paid a lot of money for doing this. Case in point, Fox News has a YouTube channel. Fox News' YouTube channel has about 430,000 subscribers. In order to do that, they upload about 100 videos every single day, involving literally dozens of celebrities and hundreds of pundits. All of these individuals, they probably pay at least a 6-figure sum to manage this YouTube channel. They probably have 2 or 3 staffers that solely manage their YouTube channel. And meanwhile, some random person with a webcam and a microphone, sometimes they have 200,000-300,000 subscribers, sometimes it's in the millions. No wonder they're scared. People share their information. They primarily, when they're sharing it, they're just giving their own analysis of the news. Like when I talk about something that Fox is talking about or MSNBC, it's not because I'm endorsing what they're saying. Usually I'm criticizing it. The only reason the material's spreading at all is because it's being criticized. You go to these media sites and some of the smaller upstart media sites, like Business Insider, it doesn't even talk about business anymore. It doesn't talk about news. All it's done for the last 3 or 4 months is consistently talk about how Trump is a bad person, to the point which a lot of people are just leaving the channel altogether. It's just become a partisan den of nonsense. Now, you look at sites like that, they have no good ideas. They have no new analysis to offer to the world. They've got the same basic formula they've been using since the 1980s, and it's not working anymore. The only reason why they're even extant is because people essentially troll one another in the comment sections on the things that they're posting. That's the only reason I subscribe to Business Insider's feed. I go there to see all the stupid shit that they post and talk about how it's dumb. And then I come here and I talk about how it's dumb. And more people see my analysis of why their story is dumb, potentially, than see their actual article. It's hilarious. I'm one person. I'm not a network. I don't have a multi-million-dollar budget and a $500,000 office. And I'm only one of many, many individuals, some of which are far more popular than I am, that do the same thing. No wonder the legacy media is scared. They're useless. They're completely outdated. No wonder they would try, because they can't crack the consciousness of the social media generation, they would rather pay the social media giants to suppress those that have. That's why I say they're terrified. They don't understand how to cope with this. They're losing revenue. Newsprint media like the New York Times, they're even further behind. TV media is falling by the wayside. Good. I mean, it'd be best if none of these networks even existed. Most of them are little more than propaganda mouthpieces for a political party or for a nation or a religious order or something like that, or some combination thereof. They get a lot of money to do that. Now they have to spend some of that money on Facebook to try to destroy their competitors because their story obviously isn't. They're being outcompeted by random individuals all around the world who, literally they have nothing more than a laptop and a webcam. It must be terrible for these people who have built such vast fortunes and made so many millions or tens of millions of dollars doing what they're doing, to see that people who have invested virtually but nothing in their internet presence are now challenging them directly and lambasting them and completely defeating them turn for turn on basically any subject that they cover. To the point at which, again, Fox News, not even 500,000 subscribers with a massive, massive presence. It probably got 10,000 videos uploaded or something. And random individuals with a 1/100th of their content, sometimes they have absolutely dwarfed their entire network's YouTube presence. The same thing is true on Twitter. The same thing is true on Facebook. You look at Facebook, these legacy media sites, the only reason why people are active on their pages, on their feeds, on Facebook, is to troll them, to talk about how stupid they are. Got to the point where, campaign pages are the same. Hillary Clinton's Facebook page. I would go on there. I certainly didn't like her page, but some random person on my friends list did, and they were trolling them too. You go on there, the top comment is almost invariably about how she's corrupt and should go to prison. Well, yeah, naturally, the same candidate who got money from and gave money to elements of the big mainstream, lamestream, legacy, dying media, necessarily, those sites are probably really concerned about the fact that nobody likes them on social media. It's great. It's great for people like me. I can capitalize upon this. It's wonderful. I'm having a great time. I don't worry about them at all. They're all dying out anyway. Now they're just going to invoke the Streisand effect, and their competitors' material will be spread around even faster, potentially, because they can't target all social media platforms at once, number one. Like YouTube's certainly not going to start demoting Fox News or MSNBC's competitors, because it'd be rather difficult to do so. They can't do that, and then they can't really actively suppress any blogs or YouTube pages or anything anyway. The best they can do is try to throw money at their problem and promote their own content. Well, there's a limit to how effective that is. I think we've seen that limit is quite low. The threshold is fairly low as far as how much they can get out of that for their investment. It's not working. It's not working at all. I'm about to invest in a new microphone. It'll cost about $100. And I'll have taken a technological leap that'll have taken me ahead of what Fox News at this point has actually accomplished. It's hilarious. The actual capital needed is so low. Their basic format is so ineffective. It's so inefficient. It relies so heavily on multi-million-dollar contributions and limo rides and first-class air travel and paying celebrities to come interview with them. It's hilarious. It's hysterical that they are so friggin' inept. That's about all. Peace out.